Who makes the best wire strippers in 2025?
We got the KNIPEX here. These are the 1262-180s. We got the Klein here, J2158CRs.
KNIPEX, we're going to fix them
now,
right
I modified
now.
these, and we're going to find out was it a positive outcome or a negative. We took the grinder to these, put a slot in there. We tried to make these more reliable for making up solid joints on copper. So we're going to be exploring that. And then we got the Crocs Junior.
Also, what happens to the inside of a wire nut when you don't know how to make up a proper joint. So we're going to show you how to do that too.
These are interesting because they are true to their wire gauge no matter how you want to strip. It's all the same. A lot of your strippers, it matters whether you are on the solid or the stranded side. You can see the same hole for solid number 10 is the same hole for stranded number 12. So we're going to be doing all that, and we're going to do it right now. Before we get started, I've actually got two pairs of these. They have the same model number, 1262-180. These are the 1262-180s. This thing slides, and it feels like it adjusts the pressure. In this box with my 1262-180s, there is no instructions, and that's all we have there. So just good old made in Germany quality hand tools from KNIPEX. Let's get into it. First thing I want to point out is that I am a wire nut person more than a Wago, but for the purpose of this video we'll be using Wagos because these pair very nicely with Wagos, and I'm going to show you why right now. If we got a box here, existing situations, sometimes we can't choose how much copper we find in our box, and our wire is literally barely hanging out of the box, right? Realistic situation right there. Usually you're stuck here trying to pull off like this and get whatever you can, and it's kind of an aggressive kind of action going on. This is where these shine because they really pair with Wagos nicely, because all you gotta do is get that right there, strip that there. If you didn't get enough, you can always go back for more. It works really well. Go here, strip that, pull that off, pop it on there, and you're done. One thing I've noticed with the ideals, and I have started using ideals more by the way, is that when you push them on, they kind of stay. Like they almost kind of slide right in and get fully accepted as like almost like they plug in, right? The 221s, they don't do that. I don't know which one's better, but I've started using the ideals personally at customers' homes. I like how they just plug in and they move less. And we're going to try the V cutters on these racketeers because a lot of people ask me what's so great about the V cutter, and I'm like, well, it's kind of for show, but it does work sometimes. So let's see if it's going to work today. Okay, so I'm editing this video right now, and what a train wreck. This thing failed like 4 times. I'm not going to make you watch it. I'll do a compilation of how many times it failed, and then even at the end of the day, the thing still doesn't make sense to use because you still can't cut it all the way back at the back of the box. Sheathing there.
So you're going to wind up with about that much sheathing.
Like it really slides.
Crammed in the back of your box, which is not going to allow your wires to be more flexible.
All the way up in there. We're going to try
the
one more
V-cutter
time.
is kind of a gimmick.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It does work, but it's also a gimmick. It's creating a solution to a problem we never had, and creating more of a problem while doing it. So there you go. Enjoy. And yeah,
we'll try it again without fighting.
You can see I'm making a lot of cuts here. I don't want to waste you guys' time.
About as much as you're going to get in there. Realistically, that's what you can expect. That's where it stops. That's where the nose hit the back of the box. If you're the type of person that strips before you put it in the box, the sheathing, and then that's fully busted out. That's trash. Knock them all the way out, guys. They're there to retain the cable. So you're getting a little bit of just not the best situation. I could do that a lot faster just by jamming the Romex in there. Razor knife, pull, done. Is it a positive outcome or a negative? We've got a groove this way. We've got a flat groove this way down in the middle there. And then we've got an X on one side and just a diagonal slash on the other. They are kind of cumbersome. They cut beautifully, right? You just gotta get used to opening your hands this much. Once you get used to it, it's not so bad, and they cut very nicely. They just don't make up joints really good. So we're gonna see, how do they make up joints? We're just gonna put 2 in here. We're just gonna start that like this. And you can see that air gap in there because we got a super fancy camera. And if you like crystal clear 4K 120Hz HD, make sure you leave a comment below on it because this stuff ain't cheap. Let's see how much leverage we get on this. And you can see we're getting a beautiful twist back there. And I'm going to say my modification on these KNIPEX was a huge success. And dare I say, I recommend you do the same with yours. Is it going to void your warranty? Absolutely. But should they have done it in the first place for us? Also, yes. We got one little twist here. We got actually, man, that is a pretty beautiful joint. I don't mind telling you. Let's look at what happens if we get somebody that's not as experienced that wants to add something to this wire. And I think they're just going to add another one to the circuit. They might just start spinning anywhere. I'm kind of a pro, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it in right there in between the other 2. And then I want to get my first twist pretty much right there. And you want it to follow the rest of the twists. Now you can see where that's bigger than the rest of them. I would actually cut it back here to where they're all the same size. If I was to tighten this with the wire nut, I would imagine that the wire nut's only going to grab the outer. Is it probably going to hold forever? Yeah. Is it still wrong? Also, yeah. Now these wire nuts have the skirt, so they hide the imperfections of your longer makeups, so they are kind of nice. You're going to see here that I'm probably going to be able to spin forever, and we are. How many times do you want me to spin this? To show you that I know what I'm talking about? We'll just keep spinning it for you guys. Okay, well, I'm getting bored. Let's pull it off. Let's see what happened. It just kept spinning on the outer joint like I said it would. Let's cut it flush down here. We're going to get an even bite on all of them. We're probably going to need a new wire nut because we probably damaged the spring. Yeah, we damaged the spring internally by doing that. So if we were to open this up, you would see that the spring is probably separated. There's that gap that I was talking about. So the wire nut, it's basically a live spring because as the amperage goes through the wire, what happens is the wire is actually moving just a little bit. Because it's a live spring, it's able to contract and expand without affecting the joint. That's why you're not allowed to solder wire connections per the NEC. So you're seeing where we're just getting that free spin right there. We're not actually sending the wire up into the top of the spring. We got a new wire nut. Now you can see the difference down there. Should get a full-on twist and it should get tight. Yeah, it's going to get tight. And we're going to get some more tightness on the strands themselves. You see that? So there you go. One reason why I do recommend Wagos and push connectors and lever nuts and whatever else you want to call them for homeowners, because even the most beautiful joints, even though I laid it in textbook, if you don't know to cut flush, and that's why I make these videos for you guys. You can see the difference on the grab. I showed you what was going to happen before it happened. I'm glad I caught it on camera. Pretty cool stuff. We definitely fixed the KNIPEX with the modifications. Able to make a good competent joint on there. And I actually like them now. I actually like them a lot. I don't know if I like them more than my clients actually. It's worth doing. We did a live where we modified it, so if you're curious on how we did it, it's on the live. Now if we want to see the clients here. Third hole, no questions. Once you get used to your tools, it's not hard to figure out where everything goes, but they strip really nicely. You can see here we're instantly getting twist on the back side here because these have the proper cross hatching. See, we're already getting more twist back there. We can stay right on top of this and just kind of do this and just keep twisting it forever. So these still make up a better joint than the KNIPEX. They just do. These are definitely the king of existing wiring, right? Because you got the Wago. It's hard to beat that. These are like really nice for doing like troubleshooting and existing work and things like that. Let's do another joint with the KNIPEX here. See if we can do one quick without really talking about what's going to happen, because you want your tools to be quick and efficient. That groove in the middle helps a lot. I can feel it fall into that groove where it just starts making it into a nice flat. Did I say flat? Kind of a nice profile of where the joint is supposed to sit. And dang guys, that's a nice looking joint. I gotta tell you, it looks pretty good. We can even get leverage on the littlest amount, so we're getting more twist on that wire. I bet you can't do that with your KNIPEX. Grabbing the copper, I bet you they would slip. Alright, now let's see how just about all of the other old school electricians, including myself, do it. One little half turn, strip. Little half turn, strip. That goes back in the pouch. And you just got so much more leverage when it comes to making up a joint. We can even take our time here and individually, like let's say we had one that was kind of going like this way like this, and we needed to get it back over here. You've got just the most dexterous tool here, like an extension of your hand almost. We can pull these individually around. Squeeze them together. You got all the leverage for something very special. Obviously don't make up a joint to this extent, but I'm just showing you the leverage that you can get. You can see just how much leverage you get on the thing. That's a very tight joint. I don't think the KNIPEX can grab that any tighter. They're probably just going to slide around. They try to turn it, but ultimately they just make little shiny copper dust on the table. These can turn it, so they do have more leverage. They do have more bite. But these are just the king of the makeup, and dare I even say the stripping. They're just know how to use your tools, guys. The strippers do make it fast and stuff, but having the right tool, strippers made for the perfect scenario. We can just take this. Of course, they're stamped. They're not forged. They're not going to last as long. And then, of course, let's not forget my favorite Milwaukee's with the needle nose. I might even build some cross hatches there with the grinder one day. Probably not needed, though. So, for me, my current setup right now is these two for everything tried and true. Existing wiring, it's going to be these for troubleshooting, going to service calls. They're just too good. They're too fast and very low access. You can see, you know, we showed you the box. If it's only hanging out that much, you can reach in there and strip whatever you need to, pop a Wago, and be done. Also, they do cut. So the added cutter, the flawless design here of the KNIPEX, hard to beat. Now, I like using my Milwaukee's because we can actually put some bends in this, which is not going to make it easy. And we can just take this here on the 12 solid here. And you can see that's just going to come right off. So the Milwaukee strippers are kind of underrated as far as the capability to strip. They got the needle nose, they got the screw cutters, and they close in your bag. Some strippers just don't tend to close. I'm going to start using these in my everyday kind of kit. They are a step below in making joints for leverage with these, but I don't think it matters because we made a pretty good looking joint with our KNIPEX here, which is a first for the KNIPEX. So we'll do it again here. Yeah, you can see they just don't strip as good as the Milwaukee's. Still strip good, but not as good. Go here. Let's hold this for leverage here. Yeah, they make nice tight joints now. Cut off the excess, ready for a wire nut. Let me know what you guys think about the 1262 180s. We'll see you guys in the next one.